Welcome to Small Talk, where each week we sit down to discuss the sermon-based small group questions at Wallula Christian Church.
Hello, and welcome back to Wallula's weekly podcast, Small Talk. My name is Zach Bolin, student pastor here at Wallula Christian Church, joined by Craig Archer, worship pastor, and Lance Kaufman, lead pastor. We are continuing on our series, The Unusual Suspects. Today, we're going to be talking about Pastor Dave York's sermon from this past week. We did the pastor swap. The title was A Garden, a Cup, and a Nap, and we're going to be looking at questions number 2 and 7. So no, we don't get to hear, we don't get to talk about Lance's sermon. Lance was at Westside, and I heard it was the best ever, best they'd ever heard. Or,
yeah,
no?
I
Yes?
think.
Yeah.
Probably. Westside would probably grow by 5,000 people next week.
Yeah, you're welcome,
like
Casey.
No,
yeah.
No, it was fine. We finished up. We wrapped it up, so it was
okay.
Dave is a doctor.
Doctor
Dave
yes.
York. Yeah. So
you know what? I did notice that when he said it on there, when they introduced
really,
him.
That's another good thing about Dave, because he's not too big a deal for himself, that, I'm a doctor.
But that's still pretty impressive,
it's
though.
Very impressive, yes. But even more that you're not caught up in it, I think. But is it Dr. Pastor Dave York? Is it Reverend Doctor?
I should have looked at the
know.
name tag.
I don't know. He did have
Is
a
it
name
Pastor
tag, yeah.
Doctor?
Yeah.
What do you do there?
Oh, I don't know.
Do you do anything?
If someone
Maybe
has a
not.
heart attack in the audience, like, Dave, doctor. He's like, not that kind of doctor. Do you need me to pray for you before you go?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to have to,
Anyway.
if we'll be encountering that situation anytime soon for the three of us. What do you call us when we become a doctor? I don't know. Or any?
I thought you were talking about heart attacks.
No. I just meant like either of you.
Closer.
No, I just meant becoming a doctor. And I mean, you both have masters, so anything on the horizon that
Craig can be a doctor. I'm not going to.
you're going to be a
about
doctor? Okay.
It's your turn to get the master's.
I need to. I do want to, but also it's work.
You're already a master youth pastor.
A master youth pastor, yeah. Yeah, there you go. You know how like some
We'll put that on the
colleges,
website.
they'll have like a celebrity come and speak at their ceremony at the end, and then they give them an honorary degree.
Right.
I'm just waiting on that.
Is that what you're waiting for?
Yeah. Is someone
Just putting that out there. If there's a college
there's
out
a Bible
there,
hey, you've done this a long time. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that's happening. I need to be more famous to get an honorary degree. Are they masters? Are they doctorates?
the honoraries?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard of an honorary master's degree.
Usually
Right.
doctors.
Is it doctor? Well, yeah, that's really what I need to do.
So you just skip the master.
I just need to become famous enough to become to get my doctorate, and then have them award it to me.
Yeah. I mean, if you just want somebody to make something up, we can make it up.
We'll hold a ceremony.
Yeah.
You can buy trophies.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I can find some sort of template online and print it off, and
For sure.
yeah. If you get an expensive-looking frame, then anything looks
That's right.
official enough. All right. Well,
Let's dive in.
I
What
know
do we got?
my mind was. Now I'm thinking about that. All right. For the fun question we have today, it says, "What is one important skill every person should master?" Maybe Photoshop on how to make a certificate that looks official.
Yeah.
What's one important skill that every person should master? So out of all the skills that you can think of, Craig, what's one do you think applies to everyone?
I had to just go like foundational, and I'm going to say reading.
Okay.
For sure.
You know, that's just pretty important.
It is.
Just,
That's a good one.
I mean,
Never occurred to me.
Yeah. It didn't occur to me either, because I'm like, that's the thing that everyone already,
Yeah,
and I know not
and
everyone does.
So I
but
think Haley told me this maybe yesterday or Sunday, so it's very much fresh on the mind. She read a story about someone that graduated high school, got their
Couldn't
diploma,
read.
first grade reading level,
Oh.
and she like sued the school district or something.
Sure.
And it's just
You
like,
didn't flunk me enough.
yeah. So I've been thinking about that. Like, how do you get so far into the school system. That's a different topic. But
Yes.
so just reading, being able to read instructions and learn things, and also just the value of reading a book and like all that stuff. So just a foundational skill, reading.
And like thinking about it, like critical thinking. I know it's a step above, but still.
I hear from Clayton once in a while. This is off topic. It's on that topic.
We're talking
but
about
off
kids
topic,
who aren't
yes.
kids who aren't.
I bet more
succeeding.
and more kids kind of slide through the cracks from things I hear, the pressure that parents put on teachers. Why isn't my kid? What's wrong? Why aren't you doing this for my kid? That kind of stuff. And when it's like, maybe your kid ought to turn in the homework, sort of thing. And I'm going to sue the school district because probably they didn't do some stuff. But it doesn't sound like she really went above and beyond.
I know, yeah.
Kind of.
Wait, now's the time you care?
Right.
You didn't
exactly.
know you didn't know you
just
couldn't
realized.
Right.
You didn't tell anyone before,
Yeah.
like, hey, I really need to.
So reading, that's good. That's
Yeah.
my answer too.
And in my house, Elsie's learning how to read right now.
Awesome. Yeah.
So I'm surrounded by her, like asking spelling questions. Like yesterday, I was driving in the van, and she's in the back reading this superhero book, and she's like spelling out things for me to tell her what it is.
Yeah.
So it's just very much it's happening right in front of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few times they were like, how do you spell this? And it was a word. I'm like, what? What's?
Yeah.
Tell me some context of what that word, why do you know this word or whatever?
That's pressure too, because you're like, I have to know these words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should know this. And man, their spelling. There's 4-minute pauses between letters.
They start spelling slowly, and then by the time they're done, you're like, wait, start
know.
over again?
Some
Tell me
were
that
the first
again.
two
Like,
letters.
Whenever she's like, how do you spell, or what does this say? And I'm like, all right, Craig, concentrate. Picture this word in front of me. What is this going to be?
Yeah.
That's true.
Don't let her down.
Yeah.
So much
Don't look like a
pressure.
fool.
She still thinks you know a lot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she'll realize this later, but
Right.
yeah. What's an important skill? So I was thinking everyone should master, not that everyone has, even myself, but I just thought, man, to master something would be really good. I thought like making a budget or like just finances, I think is really, really important. Not that to say so that you can make a lot of money. But whether you make a lot or a little, just knowing how to live within your means. So much of life and strife is tied into money. You've talked about it a bunch, like the three biggest stressors of a marriage: faith, finance, physical. But just how much money can control us and dictate, everything. And so, especially when you don't have much, it's really important to know how to do that. But then, what is it that I'm saying this, and I haven't read anywhere, but I've heard it enough. But people who win the lottery, like after so many years, they're
It's just gone.
They're bankrupt again because they weren't good with it when they didn't have very much, and so when they have a lot, so the idea of like if I just had more money, then I'd be happy or I'd be okay, and it's like nope. Yeah, so just having a basic understanding of budgeting and doing that. What reminded me of it was I was with Salem in the car a couple of days ago, and I forget even how it came up, but we were talking about like when you grow up, what is something that you think about, or even like, does anything make you worried, or what do you about all the big things of, the things you have to not deal with, but the thing she said was how to basically budget. She's like bills in general, like paying bills and not forgetting to pay one. What if are they going to shut off stuff? And I thought of all the things but it just seems like such a wild thing. Like I have to be responsible every month to pay. And I was like, it's really not that bad. But yeah, so that kind of got me thinking of doing that. And then just shout out to Lori, because she said this in staff meeting, and I thought it was a good idea too. But she said cooking. That was her thing of what's something that a skill that everyone should master.
Sure.
And I thought, that's a good one too. It's not hard, and
those are all good answers.
Yeah.
Great answers.
So you feel free to steal any of those if you haven't had one.
Those are really good. Mine is so dumb.
Okay.
But I really wanted all my kids to be able to throw a ball.
Oh, yeah.
Just to be able to throw a ball. I thought that was really important. I didn't want them, I've had people say, well, what would have happened if, your son or my daughter's played softball too, and what would have happened if your kids didn't like baseball, and I think I would have figured it out.
I would have still loved them.
Okay. Yeah. We probably would have fed them still and stuff, but, and so, I'm glad Clayton enjoys baseball, and Zoe was the least interested in that stuff, but she loves to watch baseball now, and so that's kind of fun for me. Although just last night we were watching the USA. There's the World Baseball Classic going on right now. If you guys didn't know,
Did not know.
yeah. So we're watching the USA play, and somebody got thrown out at third base, and I said, Zoe, that is garbage base running. Why is that garbage base running? And she said, Dad, I don't like it when you make it a test. Watch baseball, so
Just
gotta
let
keep
me
that
watch.
Yeah, I've got to keep
A lot
that
of
under
truth to that,
wraps.
yeah.
But so I wanted my kids to be able to throw. I just thought, even if they don't play sports or whatever, don't.
Just having that skill.
Yeah, don't be embarrassed in PE when you play dodgeball, or if you get drafted, you need to be able to throw a grenade. Just
Away from yourself.
yes,
Away from-
far enough away,
Up in the air.
yeah, all those sorts of things. So I thought about throwing.
Well, and I think I've told you this before, but I remember when I first started, you and I were on a volleyball team. It was a rec sports volleyball, and your kids were young. I mean, really young, but they all came because Sherry was also on the team.
Sure.
And I remember we were playing, and then there was a guy who was like we were playing against. Anyway, he was just volleyball, he just whatever. And so anyway, he was swatting, looking kind of wild there as a grown man. And I remember you said, my only goal in life is to make sure my kids don't look like that. So I can vouch that you definitely have had
Maybe an oversimplification of
Yeah.
my parenting goals.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
among
but
them,
In that moment.
that has been a
Yeah.
sentiment you've held for a long time, which I
let's
thought
not do
that makes
that.
sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
just I don't need you to be the best. Just
Right,
know how to
yeah.
function.
right. There
So-
you go.
All right. Well, moving on, we are looking at Matthew chapter 26, verses 36 through 46, as Jesus is praying in the garden. And question number 2 says, how would you describe Jesus' state of mind in these verses? Jesus chooses to be with his closest friends during this time. How can real friends make a difference during times of sorrow? So how would you describe a state of mind? And also, how do you connect the idea of friendship in that? How does that help when we're at our lowest?
Yeah, well, when you read the beginning part of that, in our ESV translation, it says he's sorrowful and troubled, and then sorrowful even to death. And then you get to him praying, and it says he fell on his face to pray. And so you combine all of that, and it's pretty extreme,
Right.
Rightly so. And, and that's not the first time through the story of the Bible that someone falls down on their face, either in the presence of a messenger of God or as like showing an act of humbling yourself before God and worship and prayer. So that definitely says something about the state that he's in, like his body, the physical, going down to the ground face first shows what's going on the inside. But then, in Dave's sermon, he asked the question, who are your Garden of Gethsemane friends?
Right.
And he gave like some more real life examples of like, hey, if you have to go to the ER or you find yourself in rehab or that sort of thing, like who are you calling up? It's a good thing to consider, and it just shows the importance of like having people on your side in your tribe, people that are close to you, so that when they get the call, they're not thinking, why is this guy calling me? And so, it comes down to we're not meant to walk through this life alone. It made me think of in college when I first became a Christian, and I was just trying to figure it out on my own, and open my Bible. It's like, I'll start on page 1, Genesis 1.
Yeah.
And at first you're like, all right, days of creation. And then not too far into it, you're like, what is going on?
Sure.
This is a wild story. And when you're just trying to like
Yeah.
go through it, and it's like, what, like, how am I supposed to make sense of what's going on here? And then you just can quickly give up.
Right.
And then, like, I don't know, maybe I'll flip halfway through this big book and see what happens there. But it wasn't until I was in community with people.
That puts you in about the Song of Solomon, by the way.
Halfway there.
So then it's
like,
Let's just see what happens
once again,
here.
what is going on?
Yeah. Who
And-
knows? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why she look like a goat? We don't know. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, but it was like once I got in community and had people willing to sit with me and read through the Bible. I remember one summer at K-State, one of the staff members of this campus ministry, we just got together once a week and read Colossians together. And it was like this moment of like, whoa, like he was helping me put some pieces together and connect the dots and explain things. I was like, wow, okay, so this is how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then, for the first time being in a small group and realizing how much better it is to walk with Jesus when you're doing it with other people.
Right.
And so that's how we're designed, and that's how we're intended to live, is in community with other people.
Yeah.
We see it throughout the Bible. When Jesus sent out the disciples, he didn't say, go by yourself,
Right.
but
Yeah.
go together. Paul in his missionary journeys was hardly ever alone unless he was in jail, and so just the importance of that, like, who can you call up that can offer support and help, encouragement, accountability, whatever it might be, you're going to get a better result or a better chance of following Jesus well when you're in community with people.
Yeah. Yeah. When we're looking at Jesus' state of mind, I think we'll all have sort of the same answers of just how sorrowful, feeling sorrowed and troubled, and all of that. One thing I had read that stood out to me was it's not the fact that he's going to be going to the cross, like the physical torture. That he's going to, and that's what's making him the most worried. But it's the first time that he's ever going to experience, because he knows what is going to happen, but the weight of sin that's going to be on him. So he's never felt, like you think about God, God can do anything. God knows all. God doesn't know what it's like to feel sin. So like guilt and shame is going to be on him. And also he knows that God is going to turn his back on him while on the cross. He's never felt abandonment before. And so he's clinging to God. All throughout his ministry, he goes away to pray, he's staying plugged into God. Even when it's in the middle of the night, that's all he's known for eternity. And then on earth, he's constantly doing that and knowing what's about to happen, not just the torture and, the cross and the abandonment from other people, but the abandonment from God and also taking on sin. So yeah, it weighs on him. And I'm recapping very poorly, but in Luke, it talks about having the sweat of blood. And it's like, we have no idea the amount of anguish that he would have gone through. We think we know because we've been betrayed or gone through something difficult, but to the deep spiritual level of what he's wrestling with at a scale that we couldn't imagine. Right. All these things that he talks about, being sorrowful to the point of death.
Yeah, you talk about being abandoned and God's going to turn his back, and we read this last week of his life, and we think about, and Judas betrayed him, and his best friends desert him, but it's even more than that, because he's kind of, I think he's in this spot where he's praying if there's any other way, right? And there's just no other way. Why? Because since creation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people have turned their back on him. Since since humans were able to make that choice for themselves, they've deserted him, and now he's paying the price for all of history's sin. You know, everyone's denying him. So, yeah, good point. Sorry.
And so, when he goes at this time, when he knows it's at his lowest, in a few hours, he's about to be betrayed. So he goes to pray, and he's bringing the disciples with him and wanting them to pray as well. And also for their own sake. Like, it's not just pray for me, also, but you're going to need prayer because what you're about to go through is an extreme thing as well. But the question of how can friends make a difference during times of sorrow, I just think it's almost everything. I mean, the most important relationship you have is with God, but we are, like you said, we're created for community. And so in almost any case you can think of, it just helps to have other people. It's almost like if you made it into a pill form of like, what do friends and relationships provide you? They help you technically just accomplish more. When you're with someone, you can be more focused in doing things. You can endure more when you're with other people. You're more bold. It gives you time of peace. Like I asked the students one time, is it hard to go out and eat, at any restaurant to sit down and eat? And they're like, no. I said, what if you had to do it alone? And they're like, ugh, no way would I ever go to a sit down restaurant with a waiter and just be okay eating by myself. I'm like, it's not. But you can. It's not the eating's not the hard part, but the being alone part is. Anyway, so just talking about how we're wired for these sort of silly things, but just being at peace, even if you're doing nothing. Having friendships strengthen us. They help to share emotional weight when we're processing things. And so like if you package all of that into a pill, like, oh, this will help give you peace and strength and boldness, and you'd make a lot of money. But friends and relationships can do that for us, especially when we're at our lowest. They help us to feel known and seen. And so whether we've messed up or we're the ones helping someone else, there's just this in our DNA, how we're wired, because that's how God is. So yeah, let me think, was there anything else? How can they make a difference? Yeah, all those things. They help to process our emotions and provide perspective. Sometimes it's crazy talk what we're thinking at the time, and someone else can sort of talk us down. So those are just some of the things I thought of off the top of my head. But if we just think about even our own experiences, how has someone helped you? I didn't even think about, on my walk initially in my faith, who helped me? Just holding my hand and being a mentor. And there's so many ways that being with others can help us and support us at any time in our life.
Yeah, I mean, as you think about Jesus' state of mind, I appreciate what you guys said. I don't have really much to add. I liked Dr. Dave's. I like to say Dr. Dave, too.
Dr. Dave?
I'm just realizing that.
Not Dr. York?
Yeah, no, Dr. Dave. That's the way to go. I like Dr. Dave's description of rock bottom that he talked about, and I think I'm always careful to say I've been at rock bottom. Because I'm pretty concerned it could get worse, but if you've experienced a time in your life that you think of, man, that was my rock bottom, then Jesus is there plus whatever or multiplied by whatever, and so just about as bad a situation as it could get, and so when you think about the difference that friends make, I just a couple things came to mind in this story when I started to think about the relationships represented here. The first is that I think this is true, especially as we get older. The older we get, I think the more difficult it is for us to find and maintain friendships. And so when you think about maybe you graduated from college and you kind of move out on your own and you have your first job sort of thing, and you're like, what? Why isn't everybody just stopping by? What is the deal? You talk about going to a restaurant by yourself, and it's like, why? Where's the cafeteria, right? Why aren't I eating with 100 other people tonight, and that sort of thing? You just don't have that built-in community, and that can grow over time if we're not careful. And I think about Jesus and his disciples, and I don't know, maybe the case could be made that Andrew initiated the relationship with Jesus, maybe. But as I think through those guys, I mean, it's Jesus reaching out to those disciples and saying, hey, why don't you come hang out with me? Why don't you follow me? And so we have to be willing to initiate relationships. You know, sometimes we can, man, it's really hard to find friends. But if we're not willing to take a step to join a small group at church or to play on that rec league volleyball team or to be a part of the community band or whatever it is, right? Whatever thing we enjoy doing or getting involved with, if we I know that's hard. That's hard for me to take that initial step, but sometimes we have to be willing to take that step and to initiate friendships, to look for those. And I think, you mentioned, you guys both talked about early on in your walks with Jesus and the folks that helped guide you and mentor you. And I know that in my life, those were people who were not in the same season of life with me a lot of times. They were people who had different interests than me, who were involved in different things, who were maybe sacrificing their time a little bit to hang out with this numbskull and to help out. And I so appreciate that. And I'm just honored that they would give their time like that. But I think sometimes, all that to say, and again, you think about Jesus and the disciples, and they came from all walks of life, and they were just different than Jesus, right? Nobody had that shared experience with him, and they were tax collectors and zealots and just all in between, fishermen and everything in between. And so we shouldn't limit our friendships to a certain, group of people or folks that just have. Of course, there's going to be some shared interests somewhere there, but who have exactly our likes and dislikes or whatever. We have to be willing to reach out to folks that are a little different than us, and so I just think we know that friendships matter and that community matters. You guys have done a great job of talking to that. The last thing I wanted to say, I guess, about this story is that we should always remember which is the most important relationship. What Jesus discovers here, or he didn't discover it, what he experienced here is that, no matter how close we are, we're going to be friends with humans, and those humans are going to blow it. They're going to drop the ball sometimes. They're going to say something wrong in the wrong moment. They're going to do something and not keep their word or whatever the deal is. They're going to drop the ball. These guys fell asleep 3 times. Jesus said, can't you just pray with me? Pray for me a little while. And they fell asleep. They couldn't do it. They dropped the ball. And just that relationship with him, with God, with our Heavenly Father, with Jesus is the most important relationship. And for sure we need others to help us and encourage us along that way. But the best relationships are centered on Jesus and exercise the grace that he exercises with these guys in those relationships. So that's kind of what jumped out to me in this story, thinking about friendships.
Yeah. As we move on to question number 7, going back to, it's the whole story, not even going back, the whole thing. What stands out to you about Jesus praying? Because he does it 3 different times. And so he goes back and forth 3 different times. And it says, how should we apply this approach in our own lives? And what else is it about Jesus' prayer time in the garden? Does it tell us about our own prayer lives? So just sort of looking at it holistically, seeing how he did it, his response to just everything. Basically, what stands out to you? Anything else that we could sort of pick up from as far as prayer and our approach to it?
Yeah, one of the first things I wrote down, just thinking about him going back and then back and then back again, was he could never really have enough prayer in that moment.
Yeah,
it can't be too frequent or too much. Like, that's not a thing. Sometimes you can have too much of a good thing.
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
no one's ever thought like, I just prayed too much.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, this is bad. So so I just thought, man, the frequency and the amount, especially in a time of desperation,
Yeah.
look where he goes.
Right.
And that can teach us a lot. And Zach mentioned it. That wasn't out of the ordinary for him.
Mm-hmm.
Over and over, he would go off to have extended periods of time of prayer and on his own in kind of like a solitude kind of way.
Right.
He'd get away, make time. We're reading Ruthless Illumination of Hurry right now, and just got done reading the part on prayer and how we oftentimes we say we don't have enough time
Right.
to pray.
Yeah.
And in that book, John Mark Comer was just really kind of like trying to poke at that sort of excuses or kind of our habits that get in the way of us having frequent time of prayer, or maybe even just an extended time of prayer.
Mm-hmm.
And just talking about how like we love to make ourselves distracted and occupied. We always want something happening in the background, even if it is listening to music or something like a podcast that's like really helpful and beneficial. But this made me think like the importance of frequently connecting with God through prayer, and just how it's like, man, I don't give myself those moments sometimes. And even like it takes me 7 or 8 minutes to drive home from work, and I can turn on the radio and listen to something or whatever, or
Right.
that's a
Sure.
7 to 8 minute window of being able to meet with God and making that more frequent, so that it's
Yeah.
just
Eyes closed,
rhythm.
head bowed.
that's right.
Yeah.
Get me
All the way
home.
Jesus, take the wheel.
Come on. No, but that was the main thing. Was just like you can't have too much of it, and
Right.
the frequency of it is so important. So that when you get to a valley or a moment of desperation, it's not all of a
Right.
sudden just
Yeah.
hey, got an emergency call, but it's like
Right.
it's a repeated pattern that you're
sure.
used to.
Yeah. When looking at like what stands out about all of this, Jesus, like you said that I said, he prayed a lot, but here you see him, it's pretty real. Like the depth of his distress. And I guess sort of a big thing is there's no, I'm too emotional right now to come to God. Like no matter how you feel, we can look at this from the Psalms, but also, he's straight up praying, God, if this let this cup pass, like
Right.
if there's any possible way. And some people may see that as problematic, but you're looking at the honesty of how he feels in the moment. And I think too many times we err on the other side of our prayers sound really nice and they're polished and, or the classic, whatever you pray before dinner. And then you just move on without actually thinking. And so coming to, especially when you're in distress, the first response is to go to God. And we joke like, oh, when there's a danger or something happening, that's when people pray. And that's true. But also that was true for Jesus. He prayed all the time. And then when there was a danger, then he really prayed even more. So it for sure is appropriate. It's just when times are great, also keep praying. Yeah. But it makes sense that's his first line of defense, is to go to God and be real and be honest. But that our prayers still align with God. So like, let this cup pass, not my will, but your will be done. And so whenever I'm going through difficult times, having other people with me, so I don't feel alone, but also, crying out to God, however I feel, but at the end of it, it's still going to be, does this line up with what you want? So to like submit and obey, no matter how hard that may seem. So recognizing that my situation may not change, but I know that God will be with me, and following him is still the right approach. trying to think if I had anything else. Yeah, I just kept coming back to John 15 about like, I am the vine and you are the branches and remain in me. And it's like, what else can we do? You know, if things are great, remain in him. If things are bad, remain in him. If in all situations, the more I could be aligned with not just scripture, but in prayer, him feeding me, him fruit coming from my life, it all comes back to that. And so kind of like the people who win the lottery. It's like, yeah, they blow all their money because they didn't know how to do it in the first place. So when things are great, I'm connected to him and I have that good relationship. And then when things are bad, that's my natural go-to. I just keep remaining in him. And so that just sort of seems to be the pattern of what we should be doing at all times. Yeah.
Well, awesome stuff. I was this last Sunday, bringing revival to West Side Church and preaching there.
Is that why you're late? Was the altar call just going on so long afterwards?
Yeah. But Pastor Joe there in his introduction, he was talking about, man, we really ought to be praying, everything going on in the world and lots of stress and anxiety that brings to folks, and especially, I suppose, in our neck of the woods. And so, we have to pray. And he said about prayer that we should keep it simple and keep it honest and keep it going. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was really profound. And certainly you see that in this story, don't you? Mm-hmm. I mean, Jesus is pretty straightforward. There's no special code words or secret phrases that need to be uttered to connect with God. And he just says, Father, this is what's going on. And he keeps it honest. It doesn't get more honest than, I'd rather not do this, right? And so he keeps it honest and he keeps it going, just over and back and back and back. 3 times he goes back in prayer. And so I just think that's what stands out to me there. Keeping it going, we need to spend some time. Jesus certainly gives this example of spending extended periods of time in prayer and fueling up, if you want to think of it in those terms, by talking with his Heavenly Father, and we have this great resource to be able to do that. And I think, I've mentioned before that one of the things I'd encourage everyone to try to do is to take a day away and try to carve out, several hours to spend alone with God. And I get it that not everybody, my schedule makes this so easy, right? It's so easy, it's almost embarrassing how little I do it. Because, I have a day off that is not everybody else's day off in the world. And so, Sherry, my wife, is working on my day off. And so I've got, it's just so easy for me to carve out some time to spend a day away and kind of focus on him. But what about an hour? Just sort of no matter how busy we are, no matter what our schedules look like, no matter how stressful it is at work, no matter how, how many kids or how busy those kids are or what have you, how many honeydews we have at the house or whatever's going on in our lives, most of us can find an hour. Like we do that for the ball game or the TV show or the jog or the golf or whatever it is, that stuff's more than an hour, but we find that time, and most of us could find an hour to spend kind of an extended period of time just being with God, being still before him. And again, we don't really know how long these segments of time were. It was long enough for the disciples to fall asleep, right? And for Jesus to come back and say, you couldn't stay awake. But we just get like this one sentence of his prayer. What it was, all that to say that sometimes we think we got to fill up this prayer time with a bunch of words. And some of the most meaningful time in prayer that I've ever had is just listening for God. And that might sound silly, whatever you want to call it, right? If you want to call it the spiritual practice of silence, then call it that. If it, but just sitting in the presence of God and thinking and listening for him. And so maybe sometimes you have to kind of go back and reignite your mind because it starts to wander to other things, and you've got to say that little phrase or something that just draws you back, often I will repeat the phrase, Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, right? Just as a sort of there's no magic formula there. There's nothing special about those words. It's just one way to kind of reignite my thought process, to kind of center my heart and mind back on what I'm doing, and just spend some time alone with him. And if anybody thinks, oh yeah, I should do that and try, and if you need like a template or an outline of how to spend an hour, I just let me know. I'll zip it out to you, email or text or something, and it's not rocket science. It's not going to be anything fancy or just full of information, but man, I can give you a little template of ideas of what to do and how to start that process. But just go back to him. Keep it going is so important in our prayer life.
Yeah. Yeah. One last thing I was going to say is about Zoe. It still stands out to me. I remember one time when she was interning with us and we were at CIY, and they were talking about this idea of being silent and resting in God. And she said her intentionality with her day off, and I think it was maybe a Friday, but she would intentionally put her phone away and not try to be on as little as possible. And then also she would not just read, but plan specific times to reach out to people. And so whether it be having lunch or coffee, but she had these sort of small things of trying to connect with others and trying to connect with God, both by herself in the Word with others.
Right.
And I just thought it was one of the best
Sure.
Kind of examples of what that looks like. It's not an all day praying,
right.
But it was this intentionality that I was really impressed with. So anyway, shout out to Zoe. I thought that was really great. So there's a lot of different ways we could do that, but making that part of a rhythm and routine is really big, a really big deal. All right. Well, we are someone's calling Craig. We're finishing up, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right.